There is no one time to start the gardening year. Many people think that when the days warm up, the gardening year begins. But I prefer with an organic garden to begin the year as soon as the harvests have been taken in and the winter days shorten, because Hebridean weather is so fickle, wet and cool that every opportunity has to be taken to protect the soil and improve it where possible with compost, seaweed and tarpaulin. At this time of year the big blousy blooms have faded, allowing one to see the shape of the land again. Whether it be a small garden, an allotment or a large field, one can see the opportunities for the seasons ahead. Where beds are devoid of all last year's crops, I need to weed out all the perennial weeds by hand and feed the soil with as much homemade compost as I have, then cover them for the winter with a variety of coverings to protect them from the heavy rain which would leach away their goodness. Some beds are planted up with green manures, some covered in seaweed, some covered in sheep's fleeces, and some with tarpaulin. These keep the soil warmer, maintain its structure, they add fertility for the coming planting season. Growing areas, gardens or crofts can be protected with planted hedges and shrubs to filter the wind. Man-made windbreak fencing can be erected also, and polytunnels, polycrubs and greenhouses can add significantly to the microenvironments which plants like, can extend the growing season and can promote plant growth to produce healthier and more robust plants. This is the time to be thinking about the crops that will go in rotation in the various beds, both those under protection and those outside, the plants which will provide colour and interest throughout the year. There is a plethora of catalogues and advice, so take time, make a big desirable list, then cut it down to the practicalities of your own piece of land. I remember what crops did not do so well, which ones prospered, which ones I will grow again, and which ones I will not have space for. There are plants to be shifted, there are gaps to be filled in, plants to be divided and given away or sent to the compost bins. Winter is also the time for hardwood pruning like salix, cherry and elder. When the spring comes, the pace hots up. Suddenly, after the long days of wind, rain and darkness, there are snowdrops and crocuses popping up along with the catkins and budding bushes and trees, reminding us of all the things to do in the garden. There are so many jobs needing our attention. What to do first? Now that the birds have devoured all the seeds of flowers left from last year, I cut back dead growth of perennials to the base and clear away any green materials lying around plants to minimise rotting and put them on the compost. I will use a flame gun to kill off perennial weeds and roughly rotivate the top couple of inches of the soil. Since soil health is our major concern in an organic garden, I like to pile on the last of the compost and the seaweed from the bins onto the bare ground and check over the coverings on the other plots. I will plough in the overwintered green manures sufficiently early to allow any harmful elements to dissipate before sowing seeds or planting out. Then I prepare the soil for direct sowing and planting by hoeing and raking compost fortified soils, removing any weeds to the compost. Now I mentioned earlier that protection from the elements is vitally important in the Hebrides. where wind, rain and cool temperatures can affect all plants, and these protections have to be maintained and replaced as the climate ravages them, for example by recovering a polytunnel. The next job on the list is chitting potatoes, ready for planting when the soil is warm enough. Seed sowing is obviously on everyone's mind at this time of the year, so it is a case of looking through your packets of seeds that you purchased during the winter from the catalogues and deciding which ones to sow now, ready for planting out when the soil is sufficiently warm for that purpose. Dampen your homemade compost first. Sow thinly. Then cover with a thin layer of compost and firm down. Don't forget to label them. Now immerse in water till the compost absorbs it, then remove the tray and keep them covered with glass in a warm, light position to encourage germination. Later we will prick out seedlings into separate pots, ready for transplanting later. Another job is taking cuttings from soft plants like pelargoniums. And if we are lucky, we will still have some hardy overwintered crops to pick. And leads us on to planting potatoes around April time. You would think from TV gardening programs that all you have to do in the summer is to sit in the shade with a nice cool drink and soak up the vibrant colours and the scents wafting gently in the breeze. My experience in an organic garden in the Hebrides is that there are still many things to do. Some of the tasks are more enjoyable than others, like harvesting fruits and vegetables, such as garlic and onions and shallots, while others, like fighting slugs and pulling out weeds, are not so exciting. This is a very busy time, what with cropping different fruits from strawberries and figs via black currants to red currants. But I like to kill two birds with one stone by a light pruning of the black currants while cropping them. That makes an easier, quicker job with less chance of damaging the fruits. while in the polytunnel there are peas and beans to harvest. Then on a calm, sunny day, thin out weak or damaged plums, or those that have already fallen, to allow those left to swell and ripen. While in the greenhouse there are 2-metre high cordon tomatoes. Their side shoots need to be nipped out and the main stems to be tied in to support the expected heavy crop later in the summer or indeed into the autumn. Months. Chop them up a bit. Makes the process quicker, it's going to. I am continually making liquid compost feed throughout the year, from rhubarb leaves, seaweed, nettles and comfrey, specially grown for this purpose, by letting them decompose in a closed barrel, then drawing off the concentrate and diluting it before applying to plants, particularly those in the greenhouse. Back in the vegetable garden, the potatoes need earthing up, and all the produce not needed for personal consumption can join the produce of the other gardeners at a weekly market in Percival Square, Stornoway. While doing all this, there are the agricultural shows to prepare for, to exhibit your best produce from vibrant little radishes to giant cabbages through July and August. We are now getting towards the end of my Hebridean organic gardening year, with some pleasurable tasks to be done in the fresh air, mostly cropping and harvesting. Lifting potatoes is always a traditional task at this time of the year to look forward to, with anticipation, for you do not know what treasures await you beneath the dying shaws and the weeds. My crops will be for immediate consumption, for storage till the spring, or indeed for sale at the market. Similarly, there are some leeks to be dug up and cleaned, leaving the rest to overwinter to catch a frost or two and to improve their size and flavour. There are quince japonica ready for harvesting too at this latitude. Then there is a profusion of brambles and plums for converting into preserves, for giving away, for immediate consumption, for freezing, or for storing, or for sale at the market. Now, one of the highlights of the year is the annual Lewis and Harris Horticultural Show, where everybody can show off their best produce, whether it be vegetables, fruits, or flowers. Now we can relax a little. For the ever-shortening days, there is only a bit of tidying up to do, as well as taking hardwood cuttings from your favourite plants you wish to propagate to increase your stock for the future. There is one final task, and that is to spread as much homemade compost as you can to cover bare soils and to allow it to be incorporated into the top layers by worms, and that brings us full circle in a Hebridean organic gardening year with optimistic anticipation for next year.